Hello students, today I have come with another poem called A Tiger in the Zoo. This poem contrasts a tiger in the zoo with the tiger in its natural habitat. This poem moves from the zoo to the jungle and back again to the zoo. Before we start this poem, let me introduce the poet Leslie Norris. He was a prize-winning Welsh poet and a short story writer. He is considered as most important Welsh writer of the post-war period, and his literary works have won many prizes. His famous works are Finding Gold, The Loud Winder, Phoenix Living, Poet Series, Ransoms, etc. In this poem, the poet explains the agony and helplessness of a caged tiger that lives in a zoo. The poet explains what his life could be if he had been a free animal. The poet has tried to explain about the condition of animals that are caged by the human beings for their own fun. Let me give you the summary of this poem. The poem begins with a description of a tiger that is very beautiful and is walking in his little cage. He has beautiful stripes on his skin and has velvet-like soft paws. But the tiger is not happy and is quite angry about being confined in the cage. The poet says that if the tiger was not confined to the zoo cage, he would have been hiding himself behind the long grass near some water body in order to catch its prey, that is the deer. Also, he would have terrorized the residents of the village around the forest area. But the reality is totally opposite to this. He was confined in a cage which was made up of strong building material, and he was helpless there. He could not show his power to the visitors. Therefore, never try to terrorize them. The tiger is described as being powerless and agonized by the poet. He says that during night also he is alone, hearing the voice of the patrolling vehicles of police and looking at the stars. The cage life has totally changed the tiger's personality. The poet is trying to say that the animal, which is famous for its fearlessness and freedom, is confined and sad due to the human beings who want to derive pleasure by looking at him in the zoo cage. Now let me read the first stanza for you. The lines goes like this. He stalks in his vivid stripes, the first steps of his cage, on pads of velvet quiet, in his quiet rage. The meaning of the word stalks is follows. Vivid is bright colored. Pads here means paws of tiger. Rage is anger. Here in this stanza, the poet says that the tiger that is confined in the zoo moves around in the cage under his bright colored skin. He further says that the tiger can take only a few steps because the cage is small and it is not easy to move in it. One cannot hear his footsteps because he has very soft feet like velvet, because of which there is no sound of tiger's footsteps. The tiger tries to control his anger by quietly walking in the limited area of his cage. He is angry because he is not free. The second stanza goes like this. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass, near the water hole where plump deer pass. Meaning of lurking is waiting. The poet says that if this tiger was free, he would have hidden himself behind the long grass near the water bodies so that he could easily catch a deer in order to have it as its food. Basically, the poet wants to say that the actual life of a tiger is to live in jungle where he could catch his prey and eat it, but the tiger in the cage cannot do so. In the third stanza, he says, he should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, bearing his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. Now, what does the word snarling means? Snarling is the sounds made by the animals. Bearing here is showing. Fangs is nothing but the sharp tooth of animals. In this stanza, the poet says that if the tiger would have been free, he would have been snarled around the houses located at the outskirts of the forest. He would have terrorized people with his sharp tooth and claws. This would create fear among the people living in the villages. The fourth stanza goes like this. But he's locked in a concrete cell, his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. Now, what does concrete cell means? Concrete, the cage which is made up of bricks and sand. What is stalking? Stalking here is walking angrily. Ignoring, ignoring is paying no attention. In this stanza, the poet comes to the reality of the tiger that is inside the cage. He says that the tiger is confined in a strong cell which is made up of strong building material. He further says that as the tiger is behind bars, so his ferociousness is also behind the bars. He just stalks in the cage. He never tries to terrorize the visitors because his power is restricted by the cage. Therefore, he never tries to terrorize the visitors as he cannot attack them. The last stanza goes like this. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stays with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Now here, what does the word patrolling means? Here the patrolling is the uh, uh, cars which are used by the police to guard the zoo. Stays here is looks for a long time. When you look at something for a long time, that means you are staring at something. Brilliant here means very bright. Now here the poet says that in the night, the tiger hears the sounds of the patrolling cars. The patrolling cars, as I told you, are the vehicles of the police which are used to guard at night. So in the night, the tiger hears the sounds of these cars. He then stares at the shining stars with his shining eyes. The poet wants to say that the tiger is sad, and as he is confined in the cage, so he cannot do anything. Therefore, he stares at the stars in the night and tries to divert his thoughts towards them. Now, let us discuss the literary devices used in this poem. The literary devices here are, in the first stanza, the rhyme scheme is A, B, C, B. Cage and rage, they both rhyme. We also have personification. The tiger is personified because the poet refers him as he. Metaphor, tiger's paws are compared with velvet, pads of velvet. Enjambment, sentence is continuing to the next line without any punctuation mark. We also have imagery here. The poet tries to create an image about the tiger, like he stalks in his vivid stripes, the few steps of his cage. We also have consonants, use of S sound, like stalks, his stripes. S sound is being repeated. We also have oxymoron. What is oxymoron? Use of adjectives opposite in meaning, like quite, rage. In second stanza, we have enjambment. Line continues to next line without punctuation marks, like sliding through deer pass. We also have alliteration, use of sound per at the start of two words like plum pass. We also have imagery in this stanza. The poet has tried to create an image of tiger's activities like lurking in shadow. In the third stanza, again we have enjambment, like line continues to next line without punctuation mark. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge. We also have onomatopoeia, using words which denote sound like snarling. We also have assonance, the use of vowel sound like O and I, like should, around, houses, bearing, his, white, his. We also have consonant sound, the use of consonant sounds like S in his, fangs, claws. In the last stanza, the literary devices used are personification. The tiger is personified because the poet refers him as he. Assonance, the use of vowel sound E, he, locked, concrete, cell. Consonants again, use of consonant sound S like his, strength, bars. We also have alliteration, use of the sound b at the start of two words like behind, bars. I hope you have enjoyed learning this poem. Thank you very much.